Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for the Monday Q&As. Sorry these are going to be up a little late today. We slept in late. We just finished working at Phobia for the season, which is a big haunted house here in Houston. Here's a picture of me from the final night. I was really tired. That was after midnight, and we were up really late. So sorry I'm late getting all this started, but here we go. First question. Warming up lower back before squats. Strained a couple of times, and I stretch as well. No GHR or hyperextension bench either, and form is fine. Just being tall has put me at more risk. I'm going to assume more bodyweight squats and bar warm-up sets. No, you shouldn't need to be warming up your lower back any more than anything else. In fact, anything you're doing that's going to warm the lower back up besides just squatting is going to fatigue it, and that's the last thing you want. If you're really straining your lower back doing heavy squats, it's time to reevaluate your technique completely, and it is time for you to do a lot more core work. Your lower back and your abs are simply too weak. You need to be doing more core work to resolve this, not doing more warming up. You need to resolve your core issues and then go back and relearn your form from scratch. You need to go online, find tutorials. I even have tutorials on the squat. Video yourself from the side and see what you're doing wrong and redo your form and rebuild your strength up from there. Lower the weight back down, get the form right, start back over, build your core up. Warm-ups are not the answer here. All right, next question. Jason, I have been lifting for 2 years hardcore. I'm 30 and a former very good basketball player. I'm wondering if it's my time to give up basketball and take on weight training full time. Why can't you do both? You could play basketball for your cardio several times a week and still be in the gym 3 or 4 days a week lifting. It's nothing to do with giving up one versus the other. There's no reason you can't cross-train these things as long as you're not trying to compete at the world level or something. Yes, you're not going to be able to play basketball regularly and be a world champion at powerlifting, but you could still compete at the national level. The same with anything else weightlifting related, and the same thing, you could probably play at a high level in basketball while lifting weights several times a week heavy, but you're probably not going to be able to compete in powerlifting while being in the NBA. That's the thing you need to remember. The cross-training like that and the concerns with it only matter when you're trying to become the best in the world, the top 1%. If you don't mind being outside of the top 1% in any endeavor, you can not only train multiple endeavors, but compete in multiple endeavors. It's just not that big of a deal. All right, next question. I'm doing Smolov Jr. for squat and bench due to a hand injury that keeps me from pulling any real weight. It's kicking my 37-year-old moderately enhanced ass. Am I too old for this shit, or am I being a pussy? He posted down under what his moderately enhanced is, and it turned out to just be TRT. TRT is not close to moderately enhanced. So I would say moderately enhanced is like 500 milligrams a week. Anything under 1,000. Your TRT is probably 125 to 250. And at 37, you're just at a replacement dose. Basically, you're just where a normal 20-year-old is, so you're trying to recover like a natural 20-year-old, but with 37-year-old connective tissue that may not be strong enough for this. So yeah, Smolov and some of these really intense Russian programs like that might be a problem. And if you're finding at 37 that you simply cannot recover from Smolov Jr. or any of these similar programs, then find something that isn't quite as hardcore. Find something a little less brutal. You'll be fine. You don't need these ideal peaking programs if you're not trying to compete at a very serious level and win very serious titles. And if you're only moderately enhanced, you clearly are not trying to win any titles, so don't worry about it. Do something less intensive that's not going to beat your body up. All right, next question. Thoughts on horse placenta being used by athletes to heal injuries quicker? I know of a few Premier League footballers in England who have had this treatment done. Shouldn't this also be banned? Horse placenta. This goes back to the point that's oftentimes made of athletes will do anything, literally anything, to try to gain an advantage. And also, they will claim to do any stupid shit to give them some edge in recovery and pretend like they don't use drugs to do the exact same thing that are banned in their sports. I can't think of any physiological reason how horse placenta would be useful in any way for healing injuries. I don't know if they're wrapping it around the injury, eating it, smoking it, snorting it, injecting it, but it's fucking horse placenta. It is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in terms of recovery. I don't even know what to say about that. All right, next question. My arms seem to be useless on the squat. I simply can't get my hands... I simply cannot get my shoulders back enough to rest the bar on my hands, so I find I take the whole load on my shoulders. If there's something I can do to increase mobility so I can squat properly. I am afraid I cannot do heavy weight because of this. Your hands shouldn't be able to take the weight. There's no way you can hold the brunt of the weight on a heavy squat in your hand. Your shoulders should be taking 95 to 99% of the weight. Your hands are there to keep the bar from tipping. The reason that you touch the bar on the squats is not to grip it and hold it. It's to keep the bar from tipping. You don't even have to get your grip all the way around it, just a few fingers. Some of the best squatters in the world only put a few fingers around the bar. They don't even get a full grip on it. It is there for stability. Your shoulders should be taking pretty much all of the weight on the squat. So that's doing it correctly. I don't know why you're trying to do it the other way. Let your shoulders take the weight, build a callus where it'll build up, and learn how to let it sink in there in the right spot. You should not be worried about something like that, and you certainly shouldn't be trying to take the weight in your hands on a squat. It should all be on your shoulders. All right, next question. If I have a 100-gram protein meal, will my body absorb all those grams? Yes, your body will absorb almost all of them. There's always going to be a little bit of loss. You might only absorb 97, 98 grams of it, but yeah, you'll absorb all of it. This is a myth that the body can't absorb and utilize limitless amounts of protein. It's just that there's only so much you can absorb at once. And if you exceed that threshold, you might defecate out a little bit more over the next few days while it tries to catch up. But I mean, it's generally not an issue till you start approaching 300 or more grams a day that you're going to start wasting any significant amount of it through stool. And even then, that's going to depend on your total intake. But that's a myth. And what people are misunderstanding is not that you can't absorb it and use it for different things. It's that you don't get a larger anabolic signal from it. It doesn't necessarily help you with muscle protein synthesis beyond a certain threshold. It's just basically calories and energy and stuff that your body can use for other functions. You're just not necessarily going to see a extra use in MPS from too much protein in one meal beyond a certain threshold, which is one reason you probably need to eat several meals a day. You probably need at least 3 meals a day for ideal muscle growth with protein in them, simply because of that. All right, next question. When doing face pulls, does the height of the pulley affect muscle recruitment, and to what extent? Also, when I close grip bench press with a reasonable arch, I touch so low on my torso that my arms are parallel with floor. Is this enough range of motion or not? Currently running your linear hypertrophy program. Yeah, the angle on the pulley matters on your face pull. Ideally, you want to get the pulley right in front of your face. Don't have it too high, don't have it too low. Same thing if you use bands, which is my preference. You want it generally located in front of your face or within 10 degrees of it. And if you go further beyond that, it's just more difficult to line it up correctly to use the muscles that you want to use. Yeah, it absolutely matters. So don't try to do like a really high pulley from the top down unless you're going to lean way back. It's just, and then it creates more work to do the lift correctly. As far as your bench press question, if your arms are only parallel with the floor at the bottom, no, you're not getting the best range of motion for growth. You probably should bring the bar up a little further on your torso. Don't go above the nipple line. Keep it below the nipple, but you shouldn't be that low down. So either reduce your arch slightly or bring the bar up slightly more so that you're going a little deeper than that. That's just not quite deep enough for what you want for maximum hypertrophy. And yes, I know that flies in the face of what some other people say. I really don't give a fuck. I'm not those people. Okay, next question. Hi, Jason. I have a big gap between my squat and deadlift. Estimated squat PR around 150 kilograms and deadlift 220 kilograms. Is this purely because of technique issues? Deadlift and squat seems to be involved in mostly the same muscles. I should just squat more frequently, or this may be something else? Thanks. It has to do with your body and the fact that you're probably a raw squatter. The thing is, a lot of the guys whose squats and deadlifts are really, really close together tends to be, once you start adding belts, that brings the gap a little closer because you get a little more out of the squat than the deadlift for the belt. Knee wraps, knee sleeves, all of those things add to your squat. They're not necessarily going to add to your deadlift, and then you start getting into equip lifting and you can add hundreds of pounds to your squat that won't add to your deadlift. So it's the fact that you're doing everything probably raw, and you probably don't have really short arms or anything that makes the deadlift really difficult. So if you're proportionately built and you're training completely raw, it isn't unusual to have a deadlift that is much higher than your squat. So that's all it is. It's nothing to be worried about. In fact, that's pretty decent. 150 kilo squat and a 220 kilo deadlift isn't bad at all for someone who's been training even 2 or 3 years. So I wouldn't sweat that a whole lot. Again, but just keep working on it more. If you think that you would like to have your squat a little higher, then go ahead and start squatting more often. Problem solved, but I don't really see an issue with your numbers here. If anything, it just means you're squatting completely raw and you're probably going really deep. And that's never a bad thing. All right, next question. I have no ass at all. I do squats, but it isn't doing enough for me. Is there anything I can do to rid myself of this? Yeah, squats are probably the second best thing you can do for your glutes. The best thing you can do for your glutes is any sort of pulling off the floor. Deadlifts work really, really well for this, but any sort of pull from the floor, any deadlift variation, any sort of power clean is going to help you with glute development tremendously. So again, start deadlifting more often, deadlift heavier, put more workload in your deadlift for the next few months, and you'll end up with a better booty. Squats are just part of the equation. And I don't know if you're a male or a female, but it's the same either way as far as that goes. Because for guys, don't let anyone tell you that your butt doesn't matter when it comes to attractiveness. There have been studies that show over the years that have been replicated many times. Go do some basic research. No, I don't have a source for this because this is something I learned when I was in college, way back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, before we had internet resources like this. And we were told in class that there were studies on this stating that women found the glutes to be the most attractive muscle in a man. That is the muscle that they've noticed first. So yeah, even if you're concerned only about your appearance, having well-developed glutes is useful. All right, next question and last question of the week. This is from Vegan Gains, so I have to include it. Do you think I'm going to get sued by Simian Panda? And yes, this was from the real Vegan Gains. He put this on my wall. As far as being sued by Simian Panda, look guys, I'm the only person in YouTube fitness who's been sued by someone else in the fitness industry. Look how badly that went. Because you guys know I'm going to cover this later. The guy went through so much stress because of what I put him through in the lawyers because I played such a manipulative game with them that he said he was having anxiety attacks for months because of it. Because he chose to sue me and then I really dicked him around with it. And after it was all said and done, the guy spent $35,000 that he never got a single penny back of, and I never paid a single penny. Nothing. Nada. In fact, I made money off of it. So, the reality, anyone who's stupid enough to sue anybody else in the fitness industry over this YouTube stuff is going to be in for a big surprise, and I think enough people saw what happened with mine, who really are thinking about it, who really saw what happened, that they're probably not going to waste their time to sue unless there's a really, really good reason. It is simply not going to be worth it. So the odds that Simian Panda can even afford to do an international lawsuit from the UK to another country to sue you over this, slim to none. And if he does, let him throw away his money. His money will run out before the lawsuit's even done. You'll drain his coffers before it even gets to trial. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.